Hey everyone, welcome to the Cloudhouse Cafe in Stow in southern Scotland, and Moby by Herman Melville. Hopefully you can hear me. It's a bit of luck. It's kind of loud downstairs, but hopefully you can hear me. So we're on chapter 119. We might get through more than one chapter today, I don't know. And I have a nice hot chocolate as well. Don't forget, you can always listen to my previous chapters of this. Just subscribe to me and listen. And tell me what you think of it as well. So, chapter 119, The Candles. If you can hear me. Warmest climes bot nurse the cruelest fangs. The tiger of Bengal crouches in spiced groves of ceaseless verdure. Skies the most effulgent but basket the deadliest thunders. Gorgeous Cuba knows tornadoes that never swept tame northern lands. So too it is that in these resplendent Japanese seas the mariner encounters the direst of all storms, the typhoon. It will sometimes burst out from that cloudless sky like an exploding bomb upon a dazed and sleepy town. Towards evening of that day, the Pequod was torn of her canvas, and bare pole was left to fight the typhoon which had struck her directly ahead. When darkness came on, sky and sea roared and split with the thunder and blazed with the lightning. That showed the disabled masts fluttering there and there with the flags, which the first fury of the tempest had left for its aftersport. Much is twitch. What? Holding by a shroud, Starbuck was standing on the quarterdeck, at every flash of the lightning glancing aloft, to see what additional disaster might have befallen the intricate hamper there, while Stubb and Flask were directing the men in their higher hoisting and firmer lashing of the boats. But all their pains seemed naught. Though lifted to the very top of the cranes, the windward quarter-boat, Ahab's, did not escape. A great rolling sea dashing high up against the reeling ship's high teetering side, stove in the boat's bottom at the stern, and left it again all dripping through like a sieve. Much better than talking. Good. Strange. Delicious. Bad work, said Starbuck. Oh, Mr. Starbuck, said Stubb, regarding the wreck. But the sea will have its way. Stubb, for one, can't fight it. You see, Mr. Starbuck, a wave has such a great long start before it leaps all round the world it runs, and then comes the spring. But as for me, all the start I have to meet is just across the deck here. But never mind, it's all in fun, so the old song says. Right, let's see, there's a song here. I'll have to make up a tune. Oh, jolly is the gale, and the joker is the whale, a flourishing his tail. Such a funny sporty gamey gesture, jokey, hokey, pokey lad is the ocean, oh. The scud all a-flying, that his flips only foaming, with his stars and the spicing. Such a funny sporty gamey gesture, jokey, hokey, pokey lad is the ocean, oh. Thunder splits the ships, but he only smacks his lips at tasting of this flip. Such a funny sporty gamey tasty jokey hokey pokey lad is the ocean, oh. I'm sure it's much better listening to this than it is on Twitch, and I'm sure you're glad of it. Avast, Stubb, cried Starbuck. Let the typhoon sing and strike his harp here in our rigging. But if thou art a brave man, thou wilt hold thy peace. Good advice. But I'm not a brave man. Never said I was a brave man. I'm a coward, and I sing to keep up my spirits. And I tell you what it is, Mr. Starbuck, there's no way to stop my singing in this world but to cut my throat. And when that's done, 10 to 1, I sing ye the doxology for a wind-up. Madman, look through my eyes if thou hast none of thine own. What? How can you see better for a dark night than anybody else? Never mind how foolish. Here, cried Starbuck, seizing Stubb by the shoulder and pointing his hand towards the weatherlow. Markest thou not that the gale comes from the eastwards, the very course Ahab is to run for Moby Dick, the very course he swung to this day noon? Now mark his boat there. Where is that stove? In the stern sheets, man. Where does he want to stand? His standpoint is stove, man. Now jump overboard and sing away if thou must. I don't understand ye half. What's in the wind? Yes, round the Cape of Good Hope is the shortest way to Nantucket, soliloquized Starbuck suddenly, heedless of Stubbs' question. The gale that now hammers us to stave us, we can turn it into a fair wind that will drive us towards home, yonder to windward. All is blackness of doom, but to leeward, homeward. I see it lightens up there, but not with the lightning. At that moment, in one of the intervals of profound darkness following the flashes, a voice was heard at his side, and almost at the same instant a volley of thunder peals rolled overhead. Who's there? Old Thunder, said Ahab, groping his way along the bulwarks to his pivot hole, but suddenly finding his path made plain to him by elbowed lances of fire. Now, as the lightning rod to a spire on shore is intended to carry off the perilous fluid into the soil, so the kindred rod, which at sea some ships carry to each mast, is intended to conduct it into the water. But as this conductor must descend to considerable depth, that its end may avoid all contact with the hull, and as moreover it kept constantly towing there, it would be liable to many mishaps, besides interfering not a little with some of the rigging, and more or less impeding the vessel's way in the water. Because of all this, very loud downstairs, isn't there? There's not many people, but they're making a hell of a racket. Because of this, the lower parts of the ship's lightning rods are not always overboard, but are generally made in long, slender links, so as to be the more readily hauled up into the chains outside, or thrown down into the sea as occasion may require. The rods! Cried Starbuck to the crew, suddenly admonished to vigilance by the vivid lightning that had just been darting flambeau to light Ahab to his post. Are they overboard? Drop them fore and aft over, quick! Avast! Cried Ahab. Let's have fair play here, though we be the weaker side. Yet I'll contribute to raise rods on the Himalayas and Andes that all the world may be secured, but out on privileges. Let them be, sir. Look aloft, cried Starbuck. The corpuscants! All the yard arms were tipped with a pallid fire and touched at each tri-pointed lightning rod end with 3 tapering white flames. Each of the 3 tall masts was silently burning in that sulphurous air, like 3 gigantic wax tapers before an altar. Blast the boat! Let it go! Cried Stubb at this instant, and as a swashing sea heaved up under his own little craft, so that its gunwale violently jammed his hand, and he was passing as he was passing a lashing. Blast it! But slipping backwards on the deck, he uplifted eyes caught the flames, and immediately shifting his tone, he cried, "The corpuscants have mercy on us all!" To sailors, oaths are household words. They will swear in the trance of the calm and the teeth of the tempest. They will imprecate curses from the topsail yard arms, when most they teeter over into a seething sea. But in all my voyagings, seldom have I heard a common oath when God's burning finger has been laid on the ship. When his mean tickle upharsin has been woven into the shrouds and the cordage. While this pallidness was burning aloft, few words were heard from the enchanted crew, who in one thick cluster on the forecastle, all their eyes gleaming in that pale phosphorescence like a faraway constellation of stars, from which the thunder had come. The parted mouth of Tashtigo revealed his sharp white teeth, which strangely gleamed as if they too had been tipped by corpuscants, while lit up by the preternatural light, Kikeg's tattooing burned like satanic blue flames on his body. The tableau all waned at last with pallidness aloft, and once more the Pequod and every soul on our decks were wrapped in a pall. A moment or two passed when Starbuck, going forward, pushed against someone. It was Stubb. "What thinkest now, man?" I heard thy cry. It was not the same in the song. I don't know. I don't know how many few people can make so much noise. They must be competing with each other to try to make as much to try to be heard over each other and make as much noise as possible. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I said the corpusants have mercy on us all, and I hope they will still. But do they only have mercy on long faces? Have they no bowels for a laugh? And look ye, Mr. Starbuck, but it's too dark to look. Hear me then. I take that masthead flame we saw for a sign of good luck. Those masts are rooted in a hole that is going to be chock-a-block with sperm oil, do you see? Or so, all that sperm will work up into the masts like sap in a tree. Yes, our 3 masts will yet be as 3 spermaceti candles. That's the good promise we saw. At that moment, Starbuck caught sight of Stubbs' face slowly beginning to glimmer into sight. Glancing upwards, he cried, "See, see!" And once more the high tapering flames were beheld with what seemed redoubled supernaturalness in their pallor. "The corpusants have mercy on us all," cried Stubb again. At the base of the mainmast, full beneath the doubloon and the flame, the party was kneeling in Ahab's front, but with his head bowed away from him, while nearby, from the arched and overhanging rigging, where they had been just engaging a secured spar, a number of the seamen, arrested by the glare, now cohered together and hung pendulous like a knot of numbed wasps from a drooping orchard twig. In various enchanted attitudes, like the standing or stepping or running skeletons in Herculaneum, others remained rooted to the deck, but all their eyes upcast. It's quite a scene, isn't it? Imagine that, the three masts on fire and all the sailors below wondering what the hell's going on. "Aye, aye, men," cried Ahab. "Look up at it. Mark it well. The white flame but lights the way to the white whale. Hand me those mainmast links there. I would feel fain this pulse, and let mine beat against it. Blood against fire, so." Then turning, the last link held fast in his hand. He put his foot upon the party, but with fixed upward eye and high-flung right arm, he stood erect before the lofty tri-pointed trinity of flames. "O thou clear spirit of clear fire, whom on these seas I as Persian once did worship, till in the sacramental act so burned by thee that to this hour I bear the scar. I know thee, thou clear spirit, and now know that thy right worship is defiance. To neither love nor reverence wilt thou be kind, and e'en for hate thou canst but kill, and all are killed. No fearless fool now fronts thee. I own thy speechless, placeless power, but to the last gasp of my earthquake life will dispute its unconditional, unintegral mastery in me. In the midst of the personified impersonal, a personality stands here, though but a point at best. When Cessaweer I came, whensoe'er I go. Yet while I earthly live, the queenly personality lives in me and feels her royal rights. But war is pain and hate is woe. Come in thy lowest form of love, and I will kneel and kiss thee. But at thy highest, come as mere supernal power. And that though thou launchest naives of full frighted worlds, there's that in here that still remains indifferent. O thou clear spirit of thy fire, thou madest me, and like a true child of fire, I breathe it back to thee. What's that word? Can you read that? Wencesauer. Sudden repeated flashes of lightning, the 9 flames leap lengthwise to thrice their previous height. Ahab, with the rest, closes his eyes, his right hand pressed hard upon them. I own thy speechless, placeless power, said I not so? Nor was I wrung from me. It was wrung from me. Nor do I now drop these links. Thou canst blind, but I can then grope. Thou canst consume, but I can then be ashes. Take the homage of these poor eyes and shutter hands. I would not take it. The lightning flashes through my skull. Mine eyeballs ache and ache. My whole beaten brain seems as beheaded and rolling on some stunning ground. Oh, yet blindfold yet while I talk to thee. Light though thou be, thou leapest out of darkness, but I am darkness leaping out of light, leaping out of thee. The javelins cease, open eyes, see or not. There burns the flames, O thou magnanimous. Now I do glory in my genealogy, but thou art but my fiery father, my sweet mother, I know not. O cruel, what hast thou done with her? There lies my puzzle, but thine is greater. Yeah. Thou knowest not how came ye, hence callest thyself unbegotten. Certainly knowest not thy beginning, hence callest thyself unbegun. I know that of me, which thou knowest not of thyself, O thou omnipotent. There is some unsuffusing thing beyond thee, thou clear spirit, to whom all thy eternity is but time, all thy creativeness mechanical. Through thee, thy flaming self, my scorched eyes do dimly see it. O thou foundling fire, thou hermit immemorial, thou too haste hast thy uncommunicable riddle, thy uninterrupted grief. Here again with haughty agony I read my sire. Leap up and lick the sky. I leap with thee, burn with thee, would fain be welded with thee. Defyingly I worship thee. The boat, cried Starbuck. Look at thy boat, old man. Ahab's harpoon, the one forged at Perth's fire, remained firmly latched in its conspicuous crotch, so that it projected beyond his whaleboat's bow, but the sea that had stove its bottom had caused the loose leather sheath to drop off. Maybe I will. And from the keen steel barb there now came a levelled flame of pale forked fire, as the silent harpoon burned there like a serpent's tongue. Starbuck grasped Ahab by the arm. God is against thee, old man. Forbear, 'tis an ill voyage, ill begun, ill continued. Let me square the yards while we may, old man, and make a fair wind of it homewards, to go on a better voyage than this. Overhearing Starbuck, the panic-stricken crew instantly ran to the braces, though not a sail was left aloft. For the moment all the aghast mates' thoughts seemed theirs. They raised a half-mutinous cry, but dashing the rattling lightning links to the deck and snatching the burning harpoon, Ahab waved it like a torch among them, swearing to transfix it with the first sailor that but cast loose a rope end. Petrified by his aspect, and still more shrinking from the fiery dart that he beheld, the men fell back in dismay, and Ahab spoke again. Ahab spoke again. All your oaths to hunt the white whale are as binding as mine, and heart, soul, and body, lungs and life, old Ahab is bound. And that you may know to what tune this heart beats, look ye here. Thus I blow out the last fear. And with one blast of his breath, he extinguished the flame. As in the hurricane that sweeps the plain, men fly the neighborhood of some lone, gigantic elm, whose very height and strength but tender it so much the more unsafe, because so much the more a mark for thunderbolts. So at those last words of Ahab's, many of the mariners did run from him in a terror of dismay. What a chapter. What a chapter. Impressive. So the next chapter is just a couple of paragraphs. I think we'll read several more chapters here because they're all very, very short. But what a chapter. What imagery. The lightning. Well, we're on chapter 120. There is 140-ish. 135. So there's only 15 chapters left. It's only that much to go. And a lot of that is notes, actually. Yeah, it's actually only that much to go. Not long, actually. Lick the sky. It's good. Yeah, that imagery, the burning masts and him standing with a burning harpoon. Chapter 120, the deck towards the end of the first night watch. Oh, by the way, even though you didn't catch me singing earlier, I was singing part of that, if you want to go and watch that. The deck towards the end of the first night watch. Ahab standing by the helm, Starbuck approaching him. We must send down the main top sail yard, sir. The band is working loose and the lee lift is half stranded. Shall I strike it, sir? Strike nothing. Lash it. If I had skysail poles, I'd sway them up now. Sir, in God's name, sir. Well, the anchors are working, sir. Shall I get them inboard? Strike nothing and stir nothing, but lash everything. The wind rises, but it has not yet got up to my table hands. Quick and see to it, by masts and keels. He takes me for the hunchbacked skipper of some coasting smack. Send down my maintop sail yard. Oh, glue pots, loftiest trucks were made for the wildest winds, and this brain truck of mine now sails amid the cloud scud. Shall I strike that? Oh, none but cowards send down their brain trucks in tempest time. What a hurroosh aloft there! I would e'en take it for sublime, but I did know that the colic is a noisy malady. Oh, take medicine, take medicine. End of chapter. I've no idea what brain trucks are and why glue pots are loftiest. Who knows? Anyway, chapter 121, Midnight, the Forecastle Bulwarks. The Forecastle Bulwarks. Stub and flask mounted on them and passing additional lashings over the anchors there hanging. No, Stub, you may pound that knot there as much as you please, but you will never pound into me what you were doing just now, what you were just now saying. And how long ago is it since you said the very contrary? Didn't you once say that whatever ship Ahab sails in, that ship should pay something extra on its insurance policy, just as though it were loaded with powder barrels aft and boxes of lucifers forward? Stop now, didn't you say so? A lucifer, by the way, is a match. It's an old brand of match. Well, suppose I did. What then? I've part changed my flesh since then, that time. Why not my mind? Besides, supposing we are loaded with powder barrels aft and lucifers forward, how the devil could the lucifers get a fire in this drenching spray? Why, my little man, you have pretty red hair, but you couldn't get a fire now. Shake yourself, your Aquarius or the water-bearer flask might fill pitchers at your coat collar. Don't you see then that for those extra risks, the marine insurance companies have extra guarantees? Here are hydrants. Flask, but hark again, and I'll answer the other thing. First, take your leg off from the crown of the anchor here, though I can pass the rope now. Listen, what's the mighty difference between holding a mast's lightning rod at the storm and standing close by a mast that hadn't got a lightning rod at all in a storm? Don't you see, you timberhead, that no harm can come to the holder of the rod unless the mast is first struck? What are you talking about then? Not one ship in 100 carries rods, and Ahab, Iman, and all of us were in no more danger then, in my poor opinion, than all the crews in 10,000 ships now sailing the sea. Why, you king post, I suppose you would have every man in the world go about with a small lightning rod running up the corner of his hat like a militia officer's skewered feather, and trailing behind like his sash. Why don't you be sensible, Flask? It's easy to be sensible. Why don't you then? Any man with half an eye can be sensible. I don't know that, Stub. You sometimes find it rather hard. Yes, when a fellow is soaked through, it's hard to be sensible. That's a fact. But I am now drenched with this spray. Never mind. Catch the turn there and pass it. Seems to me we're lashing down these anchors now as if they were never going to be used again. Tying these two anchors here, Flask, seems like tying a man's hands behind him. And what big generous hands they are, to be sure. These are your iron fists. Hey, what a hold they have, too. I wonder, Flask, whether the world is anchored anywhere. And if she is, she swings with an uncommon long cable drill. There, hammer that knot down and we've done. So, next to touching land, lightning on deck is the most satisfactory, I say. So, wring out my jacket for shirts, will you? Thank you. They laugh at long Tom's so flask, but seems to me a long-tailed coat ought to be always worn in all storms afloat. The tails tapering down that way serve to carry off the water, do you see? Same with cocked hats. The cocks form gable and eave troughs. Flask. No more monkey jackets and tarpaulins for me. I must mount a swallowtail and drive down a beaver. Hello, there goes my tarpaulin overboard. Lord, that the winds had come from heaven should be so unmannerly. This is a nasty night, lad. Chapter 122, Midnight Aloft, Thunder and Lightning. The main topsail, Tashtigo passing new lashings around it. Stop that thunder. Plenty too much thunder up here. What's the use of thunder? We don't want thunder, we want rum. Give us a glass of rum. End of chapter. That's all it was. I saved that song. I thought it wasn't too bad. Obviously, I haven't watched it back, but I thought it wasn't too bad for made up on the spot. Right, I think we'll end there. The next chapter is a little bit longer, 123, the musket. It's a little bit longer, but I tell you what, it's fairly moving along now, isn't it? That's some pretty good chapters. Yeah, thunder doesn't only happen in this writing. It's not true. Yeah, that was some pretty good chapters, I reckon. That's good stuff, and it's not very far to go now. We must be encountering the whales soon. Surely to goodness. Those are the judge. It's true. Thunder doesn't happen. All right. So I'll read. But yeah. So there's how far I've got through the timepiece. That's where I am. That's the front. That's how far I've got through. I will finish it. I haven't met the whale yet. No. I will finish the timepiece before Monday, and we'll do a book review on Monday evening. Just being Stevie Ned, see me. Yeah, we'll review that on Monday. I'll finish it before then. Review it Monday. So yes, get your book suggestions in before then. Is it Moby Dick 2, The Revenge? Who knows? Right. I'll see you for the next chapter. I'll probably be reading it live here on YouTube next Friday afternoon, I would think. Don't forget to watch the previous chapters. And subscribe to me if you're not subscribed. See you later. Thanks for watching. See you, everyone.